The clock in Millbrook had stopped at 3:33 for 47 years, and every full moon, someone vanished without a trace. Clara tightened her grip on the rusted gate, its iron spikes still warm from the sun, a detail that didn't make sense in October. She'd come back to sell her mother's house, but the realtor's file Gia was missing. The town hall had no records of her childhood home, and the old librarian whispered about the hollowing like it was a living thing. By dusk, Clara was in the woods behind the house, digging through brambles for the box her mother had mentioned in her last letter. Her phone had gone dark at noon, the GPS glitching to coordinates that led her in circles. Then she found it. A tin sealed with wax, stamped by a clock face. Inside, a faded photo of her mother standing beside a man with hollow eyes and a pocket watch, and a note scrawled in her mother's hand. He promised to save us. He only needed more time. At the diner, the waitress, too young to remember the 90s, Clara noted, refused to serve her. "You're not from around here," the woman said, polishing a glass with frantic circular motions. Across the room, a man in a sheriff's jacket stared at Clara's hands, as if waiting for them to change. When she asked about the missing people, the jukebox cut out mid-chorus, and the man stood, his chair scraping like a screech. The sheriff cornered her at the edge of town, his badge dull under the sodium glare. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice low, "especially tonight." Behind him, the clock tower loomed, its hands frozen at 3:33. Clara noticed then the others, residents standing perfectly still, like statues, their faces turned toward the tower. The sheriff's eyes flicked to her mother's photo. "That's him," he muttered. "The keeper. He's been waiting 47 years for someone to open that box." By midnight, Clara was sprinting through the hollow, the sheriff's shouts fading behind her. The trees seemed closer, the path shifting, and the air hummed with a sound like 1,000 ticking clocks. She reached the tower's base to find a door carved with her mother's name and a date. April 5th, 1976. The same date on the photo. A keyhole shaped like an eye gleamed in the wood. Inside, the stairs spiraled upward, the walls lined with photographs of missing people. Her classmates, the waitress, the sheriff, their faces peeling away to reveal gears and wires. At the top, a figure sat in a chair made of bones, his skin translucent, his chest cavity housing a massive clockwork heart. "You're late," he said, voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "Your mother should have taught you better." The keeper stood, revealing a chain around his neck that ended in Clara's tin box. "Time is a debt," he hissed, "and your family has been collecting it." As he reached for her, the tower shuddered, and Clara's mother appeared in the doorway, her body flickering between flesh and machinery. "Run!" she gasped, before dissolving into cogs. Clara fled, the tower collapsing behind her. At dawn, she awoke in the diner, the waitress smiling faintly. On the counter lay a newspaper. "Local woman found safe after disappearance," the headline read. The photo showed Clara, asleep, with a caption dated April 5th, 1976. Somewhere, a clock ticked, and the world shifted. The power died at midnight, but the real trouble began when the temperature in the cabin plummeted to below zero. Mara found her breath crystallizing in the air, her flashlight beam slicing through the dark as she backed away from the freezer door, which now hung ajar, steamless and silent. Outside, the storm had gone still. Eli, her husband, cursed under his breath, fumbling with the generator. "This isn't possible," he muttered. "The fuel lines are frozen solid." Their teenage daughter, Jules, slouched on the couch, scrolling her phone. "Maybe the power's out everywhere," she said, but her voice wavered. The walls hummed, Mara's grandmother, Lila, shuffled into the room, her wool socks whispering against the floor. You felt it too, didn't you? Lila's roomy eyes fixed on the ceiling. The pull. She'd been muttering about old debts since they arrived, but Mara had dismissed her as senile. Now, the air smelled like wet stone. Jules stood abruptly. I'm getting water. She grabbed a mug and marched toward the kitchen. The floorboards creaked. A second later, a low thud echoed from the basement. Eli froze. That wasn't the wind. The basement stairs descended into blackness. The door warped shut. Mara's flashlight revealed a splintered knob. It's locked, she said, but Lila chuckled, rasping like dead leaves. No, dear. It's open. Her hand trembled as she pointed to the dust on the floor, undisturbed, except for a single boot print. Jules's scream shattered the silence. They found her in the kitchen, staring at the back door. It had been sealed with a deadbolt, yet the frosted glass showed a figure outside, its outline too tall, too thin. When Mara shone the light, the shadow waved. Eli grabbed the shotgun. It's not human, he said, but Lila's laugh stopped him cold. You think this is about you? She gestured to the cabin, its walls now pulsing faintly blue. This land remembers. Every grave, every crime. Her voice dropped. You built this house on a threshold. The temperature dropped again. Mara's breath crystallized midair as the floor beneath them groaned. Jules ran to the window. The snow outside was now black, swirling like ink. What did you do? Mara hissed at Lila, but her grandmother only smiled, revealing a gap where her molar had rotted out years ago. The basement door burst open. A cold wind howled upward, carrying the scent of pine and iron. Shadows pooled like oil, coalescing into shapes. Dozens of figures, their faces blurred, their hands outstretched. They didn't want the living. They wanted the dead. Lila stepped forward, her voice a shriek. I tried to bury them. I tried. The figures turned, their hollow heads swiveling in unison. Mara realized the boot print in the dust matched the ones outside. Lila's own. The old woman had built the cabin to trap something, but the ritual had failed. Now, the threshold was collapsing. Eli fired the shotgun. The blast echoed but struck nothing. Jules grabbed her phone. No signal, no light. It's eating the electricity, she whispered. The walls began to weep, rivulets of black water dripping onto the floor. Mara's flashlight flickered, revealing the family photos on the wall. Their faces now gray, their eyes hollow. Lila lunged for the basement stairs. I can fix this, she screamed, vanishing into the void. The figure surged upward. Mara grabbed Jules's hand. We have to go, now! But Eli stood frozen, staring at the photo of his father. Now, a shadow, grinning. His voice cracked. I don't remember. This isn't my family. The door slammed shut. The black snow pressed against the windows, melting into the walls. Jules's phone flickered to life. A single text from Lila's number. They're not done. The lights blazed on, revealing the basement stairs open behind them. The figures waited, patient, as the floorboards groaned. Mara's last thought was of the boot print. Lila hadn't been trying to trap the dead. She'd been feeding them. The lighthouse stood silent against the storm, its beam extinguished, and the new keeper, Mara, knew the previous keeper had never left. She clutched her flashlight as the boat scraped against the dock, its planks warped by decades of rot. A rusted sign read, Last Keeper Vanished 1987. The numbers smudged by salt and time. Mara's boots crunched over gravel as she stepped inside, the door slamming shut behind her. The air smelled of kerosene and something metallic. Up the spiral stairs, a journal lay open on the desk, its pages filled with frantic scrawl. It's not the light you fear, it's the absence. The final entry was smudged, as if the writer had pressed their face into the ink. A knock echoed from the door. Mara froze. No one was supposed to visit. She crept down the stairs, flashlight trembling, and found the door ajar, locked from the outside. The wind howled, carrying the distant wail of a foghorn she hadn't heard before. By dawn, Mara had mapped every corner of the tower. The radio crackled with static, the phone line dead. In the basement, she discovered a rusted iron key and a child's doll, its porcelain face cracked, one eye missing. The doll's dress was embroidered with embroidery. Lila, 1943. At noon, the lighthouse beam flickered on its own, slicing through the fog. Mara's shadow stretched across the wall, but no light source existed in the room. She followed the beam's rotation, only to find a figure silhouetted on the cliffside, a woman in a tattered coat, faceless save for a single glass eye. That night, Mara found the previous keeper's belongings in the attic, a backpack, a frayed scarf, and a photograph of a man with her same storm cloud eyes. The back was scribbled with, "Find me before they find you." Her pulse quickened. She'd never seen this man. The fog returned, thick enough to choke. Mara heard whispers in the walls, voices overlapping in a language that prickled her skin. She grabbed the journal and read by flashlight. They aren't ghosts. They're the ones who stayed. A diagram sketched nearby showed a labyrinth of rooms that didn't exist in the tower. Mara descended to the basement, the key in hand, and unlocked a hidden panel behind the doll's shelf. A narrow tunnel led to a chamber filled with mirrors, each reflecting a different version of herself. Some smiling, others weeping, all frozen mid-motion. The ground vibrated. A voice hissed, "You're late." She ran upstairs, but the door to the outside was gone, replaced by a wall of concrete. The radio crackled to life, a local station playing a weather alert for coastal storm, 1943. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Mara, don't trust Eli." Eli had been the town's only warning, a fisherman who'd muttered about curses before vanishing 2 years prior. Mara had found his boat adrift, oars broken, but no body. Now, she stared at the lighthouse's beam, which had aligned with the sun, casting a perfect circle of shadow on the cliffside. The faceless woman stood there, holding a phone. Mara sprinted to the attic, searching for records. Among dust-covered ledgers, she found a list of keepers dating back to 1892, all named Mara. Each entry noted a final date, then a gap until the next. The last entry read, "Mara V, awaiting replacement." The beam cut off. Darkness swallowed the room. A chill crawled up her spine as she realized the journal's true message. It's not the light you fear, it's the absence. The absence of escape, the absence of time, the absence of herself, looping through centuries, luring replacements to break the cycle, until she lured herself. In the mirror chamber, the reflections moved. One Mara stepped forward, her glass eye glinting. The real Mara screamed as the walls closed in, the lighthouse's beam piercing the fog, hunting its next keeper.